That was a shock to all of us. They said they were going to call the police, and then the police showed up.
And we felt like we were just kicked in the stomach.
We are pushed to the limit. We are, really getting real with each other.
We had a barrier to it, apparently.
Yeah,
but we did not have that barrier.
You don't know what I'm feeling.
Oh, okay.
You cannot say you're Catholic. You are the devil.
The best kept secret in the universe.
These energies are everywhere.
We are all connected.
We have far greater human potential than we've been told.
Every one of our thoughts is important, that we are a vibration that offer energy to the planet.
Sound is affecting our lives every single moment, and we don't even know.
Earth has this energy emitting, this frequency that we can tap into, and that we can help heal ourselves and the earth.
Now, there's going to be a major earth shift. Major.
I think the world's going to change.
Well, it depends on where we go with our own consciousness. It's really down to us this time, which is what the big message is all about right now.
It's going to be big, and it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be clear on this is what we want you to do now. This is your role now.
We are an interesting group. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a therapist. Jill is a sound healer and a life coach. And Florence is a physicist.
Physics teacher at the university, quantum physics, nuclear physics, so fundamental physics.
Each of these cathedrals had a particular planet associated with them. What they discovered, the researchers, they found that there was going to be a date when all of the planets associated with each of those cathedrals and the chakras were going to be aligned. I'm talking about lined up in the position of the cathedrals on the map. And they discovered that that alignment would happen on July the 28th, 2019. The other thing is there's so much about the power of sound and the potential for really making a shift on the planet.
Earth has an electromagnetic grid of sound coming from the planet. We can measure our Earth and see how it's changing and healing, and we can measure our consciousness and see how it's changing and healing. So we know it works.
These cathedrals were built over sacred sites that had been for centuries honored as holy places. The Druids and the Celts built temples there.
We find why these cathedrals were built there is because of this frequency. They felt these frequencies. They were more in tune. They're not bombarded by transportation and internet and TVs and cell phones. They knew that when they connected to these frequencies, they connected to a frequency that affects matter. And they were trying to give us that message.
At each of those cathedral sites, we'll be doing prayer, meditation, and using sound healing. And on the 28th, particularly when this alignment happens, we will be doing special ceremony that we're asking people across the planet to join us in.
To make that shift of consciousness from fear to compassion. That's what our goal has been for the last 3 years in the Movement for Peace, is going from fear to compassion. So I think if we come together again as a race and from a place of a frequency of love and really tune into that frequency, we can heal ourselves, we can heal each other, and we can heal our planet. 2017, the movement for peace has been gathering people all over the world praying for peace. In 2019, we followed an apocalyptic alignment. This journey to 7 Templar cathedrals built over ancient sacred sites began at the Root Chakra Cathedral, Santiago de Compostela, Spain. The root chakra addresses our sense of security and our ego-based fears.
Cathedrals themselves are already built on top of ancient sacred sites. So they basically chose the correct site where there already was a temple dedicated to a divine goddess. And that was their little secret nod to Mary Magdalene, but they didn't want to give that away. And then they overlaid it with their own particular structure, built on the same elements as a pyramid or as a Stonehenge, but designed like a normal church. They're also situated at the crossing lines of the Earth's energy paths. Because these are also electromagnetic by nature, they form a kind of portal on the face of the Earth.
The Camino de Santiago is an ancient pilgrimage route sprawling across Europe. It is also known as the Way, and it was walked by kings and princes, knights and paupers seeking enlightenment. Our journey began there at the cathedral dedicated to St. James in Santiago de Compostela, Spain.
Okay, today is Saturday, July 20th, 2019. Today I take steps for all humankind. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor.
Wow, and look at the pilgrims taking steps for us over here along the El Camino. Look. Pellegrinos, Buen Camino.
When you start having people come together for peace, not only do they radiate peace out to the world, but they radiate peace inwardly too. And that inward peace extends out to everyone in their circle, anyone in their orbit. And that can only create more peace in the world.
We're only here to do this for our own selves. Like Jill said, not for anybody else. We are to do this for our own self. What goes on in here is happening in here like a movie. We're the projector.
Exactly.
When we clean this up,
absolutely,
all these beautiful things happen out here.
Exactly. We're coming to this ceremony, this initiation, this journey of initiation, and we've been asked to be humble. We've talked about what we would like to see happen in the world, what our idea about healing, and Jill said, you know, she knows that it's not us to decide. It's God's will.
It was so much fun walking into the town and walking towards the cathedral, where we saw the pilgrims carrying their banners and they're cheering as they arrived. And even though we seemed to have to wind around the cathedral several times before we found the real door, when we got in, interestingly enough, they've been redoing the cathedral, so it looked like a construction site almost.
We made it to Santiago. We smell like pilgrims, but we are ready.
But we found the right line to get in and see, get to stand behind the statue of St. James, look out over the cathedral, and then to go down into the crypt where we had that amazing opportunity to pray the great invocation together. And then we decided we would go out to do our sound ceremony, which we plan to do at every one of the cathedrals. And we found a private corner. We circled up, and we knew what we wanted to do, and started the ceremony. And then all of a sudden, this guy came, and he was just yelling at us in a very angry fashion, and we all, we didn't know what to do. And he was He was talking to us either in Italian or French.
He said to us,
it was really, really violent, because this guy came to us and tell us, "Go away, Satan."
Go away, Satan.
We were deep in our ceremony. I was meditating. I was taking in the energy of the church, and I was connecting to the spiritual parts of the church. I was deeply affected and hurt, and I know that Flo and I both were dealing with that conflict, and we felt like we were just kicked in the stomach because our own people were reacting that way when we were trying to do something good.
When he came in, I didn't know what he was saying, but I heard Satan. I heard evil. I knew he misunderstood. I blessed him, which I know pissed him off even more.
We didn't know what to do. We were in the middle of the ceremony. It was being taped. So we kind of started to attempt to complete it, and Florence followed them out.
Then Flo left, which I thought was so brave and courageous to want to make it right, to want to connect with their hearts and say that, you know, we're not evil. We are trying to bring more love into this church and into this world.
So that's why I just want to tell him, you don't have to judge and you have to be tolerant. You don't know my friends, so you cannot say they are evils or devils or judge what they are doing.
And so we continued, you know, to do a little more, waiting on her to come back. And then when she came back and said that they were going to the police, and we kind of kept going a little bit until we saw the police. And then we thought, well, maybe we better pack it up. We can finish this outside. And when we approached the police, and they didn't seem to care. They knew that we weren't harming anyone.
But we did finish the ceremony, and we continued our journey, and it gave us a lot of fodder for thought.
Your feelings and your perspective are extremely important. That's why there's 5 of us.
Yes. Okay, but
so you should say what you say. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
No.
When we were growing up Catholic, I'll speak for you too, we took in more the guilt and the shame. Yeah. And you did not. You had a barrier to it, apparently.
Yeah,
but we did not have that barrier.
You don't know what I'm feeling.
Oh, okay.
You don't know that.
No, go ahead. You can say what you want to say.
Can Joe record it?
Yeah. Okay. You know, it was unfortunate that just 2 individuals came by and had a reaction. You know, I don't think they were indicative of the whole Catholic Church to me at that moment. I thought they were just 2 people that had an opinion and they made an opinion. It's like, it's the mind that's mattered. It's what's in your head. You can't let somebody else outside of you cause a reaction to you.
It took me a good part of the day to get over what went on because it really affected me. I was guilt and shame and all kinds of things that I didn't realize I experienced in my upbringing with the church all came up and out. And once I surrendered to it all and let it go, it was a much better experience for me.
But I just felt like this is our first ceremony to connect with love, and that this is the reason that we're doing it, because there's a lot of people that don't understand that it is just really about love. It's about breathing in and out love, having compassion, and when we don't understand somebody else's view, somebody else's religion, somebody else's way of praying or way of living, it's still about love. And that's when the hardest part of love has to come in, when we don't understand what somebody does and we don't like what somebody else does. That's when we need to love them the most.
I just think it was very powerful, and I'm grateful for the experience now, because it's definitely rooted me, which is what that was for, our root chakra. It tested our stability. I was shaken, but I was still standing.
Everything is in divine order. We were dealing with focusing on the base chakra, the material physical world, fear, fight or flight. we had the opportunity to experience that up close and personal because of that interaction.
Those are the lessons that we're going to learn by loving it all, because there's a balance. There's the negative, the positive, the high, the low. Even the frequency has that up and down. And when we come to our lives with a feeling of loving it all, even when we don't understand it, even when our head wants to judge it and say that was wrong and those words were wrong, that person is still part of us. We are all one. And we still, when we can bring love and compassion to those things that hurt us and that make us feel attacked, I think then we begin to accomplish what we're setting out to do, is just to combine with love.
It will be just amazing to be in this state every day, every minute, just to love each other and to be aware of this frequency and say, okay, maybe I will pray, or I'll be in such a state that I can be able just to enjoy everything and to bring peace and to bring love to people around me.
This evolution of consciousness, which is not just something which you can sit back and sort of, in an armchair, just relax. Oh, it's coming now, we'll just take it. No, there's an element of being proactive here. You just pray. And it's a simple meditation. You breathe in love, you breathe out love. Nothing fancy, it's all simple. You can do it with a Buddhist, you can do it with a Hindu, you can do it with a Muslim. In fact, that's the best. Just like the Templars.
Be part of this resonance and this frequency and connect into it and learn from each other and the earth and the science, and all of it does have a place. It all does come together, spirituality, religion, and science in this place.
And we are using the power that we come into the world with, which is the power of the individual, to be a god in this lifetime, to harness the power of your innate being so you can control the life around you, control your destiny to a certain degree on earth, but also alter the shape of civilization. That's powerful and dangerous stuff.
And so for us, the real challenge now is to rediscover that birthright, that sense of connectedness, harmony with the rest of the earth, harmony with each other, that is essentially what we were meant to be.
Because you're basically trying to make yourself a better person this lifetime. And if you can just get to that point, you've already made huge strides in your incarnation. It makes being here all worthwhile.
We are on the Camino.
We're on the El Camino now, on our movement for peace.
Peace
with our team.
One priest was really angry at us because we did something in there that we probably shouldn't have done.
Through the body, en haut et à travers le corps.
Qu'est-ce que c'est du coup?
Une prière pour le monde.
But he wasn't really happy with what we were doing.
The church was after them, Philip of France was after them, one for the money, the other one for the secret information that they were trying to hide, that the church did not want you to find out about. But the person who kept the real power was the woman. She carried the seed of the divine bloodline, and of course that was Mary Magdalene.
So yesterday was probably the best day of my entire life, because Mary Magdalene is the mission of my life and the message of the return of the divine feminine, and to see her being celebrated in France, in Toulouse, in the forest, in the Cathedral of God, underneath the canopy of trees, with bloodline of Cathars singing to us and dancing and singing Catalan songs. I just can't think of anything better.
When your soul is broken.
I felt all the energy before we even arrived at the church. And one of the things that was really powerful for me, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. I know a lot about Mary Magdalene, but I don't know as much as, I'm learning more and more. And after reading Shannon's book and other things, seeing who she is through the eyes of Shannon, it was just so powerful.
Oh, got right in front of you. Sorry, Joe. Because you don't want your ass in my picture.
Well, you're getting it.
I don't think you can say that in front of a church.